Hello students, welcome to my YouTube channel, and today we are going to discuss about a new chapter, that is waves and sound. So in order to get the actual concept of the chapter, this waves and sound, the concept of simple harmonic motion, the chapter simple harmonic motion must be clear. So before starting this chapter waves and sound, we will see some basic terms related to this chapter. So now we are going to see some basic terms first. So some definitions we will see first. The first definition in this chapter is disturbance. What is disturbance? Disturbance. So a variation in the pressure, a variation in the pressure and and density of the medium through which through which a wave wave passes is called disturbance. It's called disturbance. And the definition of this disturbance is applicable for mechanical waves only. In case of mechanical waves. The next definition is wave. What is wave? So wave is nothing but it is a disturbance. So wave, a disturbance that is propagated, that is propagated, that is propagated through a medium, through a medium or space is called a wave. So wave is nothing but it is a disturbance which is traveling through a medium or a space is called a wave. Next. Now we will see the types of wave now. The first type of wave is transverse wave, mechanical waves. Transverse wave. So a wave in which the particle motion is perpendicular to the direction of wave motion, to the direction of wave motion or velocity. Then such type of wave is known as transverse wave. The example is light wave, water waves. Examples are light waves or water waves. Water waves. Like this you can see it here. Now suppose this is the direction in which the wave is traveling. Suppose I'm letting this. This is the direction in which the wave is propagating or the wave is traveling with some velocity, and suppose this is the direction of oscillation of the particles. Okay, when we create the disturbance, the particle starts oscillating. and this is the direction of oscillation of the particles of the medium, like this. You can see it there. If in this direction the wave is traveling, you can see it there. This is the direction of wave velocity of wave, and this is the direction of oscillation of the particle velocity. Now you can see it there, this angle is 90 degree, means the direction of wave propagation, it is perpendicular to the direction of motion of the particle. Then such type of wave is known as transverse wave. The next wave is longitudinal wave. Longitudinal wave. So a wave in which a wave in which the particle motion the particle motion is parallel to the direction of to the direction of the wave motion or velocity, then such type of wave are known as longitudinal waves. Example, the most common example of longitudinal wave is sound wave. Okay, so in case of longitudinal wave, the direction of wave propagation means the direction of propagation of the wave and the oscillation of the particles of the medium due to which the disturbance is traveling, both will move in the same direction. Like this we can see it here. Now suppose this is the direction of wave propagation. Suppose in this direction the wave is propagating. Okay, at the same time the particles of this medium due to which the disturbance is traveling, it is also oscillating in the same direction. Okay, same direction, this. Okay, like this. Now we can see it there. Suppose this is the direction of wave propagation, this is the velocity of wave, and this is the velocity of the particles with which they are oscillating. Now you can easily see that their direction is common, their direction is same. Then such type of wave is known as sound waves. And due to this, oscillation of the particles along the direction of wave, there is alternate, compression and rarefaction is there. They will produce two things we define. One is known as compression and other is known as rarefaction due to the oscillation of the particles. Okay, in case of transverse waves, because since the particles are oscillating perpendicular to the direction of wave motion, here crest and trough is generated. Crest and trough alternate in case of transverse wave. So this is the basic idea about the disturbance and the wave. The next term, when it comes to transverse wave, we can define, or compression and rarefaction we can define. The third term is the wavelength. Third is your wavelength. The third term in the wave is wavelength. We will see it later on. Wavelength, it is denoted by lambda, sample lambda, and it is nothing but the distance between two consecutive crest and trough. Generally longitudinal wave and transverse wave we represent by sine graph. Then distance between two consecutive crest or trough is known as wavelength. It is denoted by lambda. Its unit will be meter. Next is your wave velocity. Wave velocity we are writing with v. Okay, so simply we can write down, we have one relationship between wave velocity its wavelength and frequency. Basically, wave velocity, it is the product of wavelength and the frequency of the wave. Frequency is nothing but it is the number of oscillations per second, because the particles are oscillating. Where f is the frequency, here you can see f is the frequency of the wave, frequency, and lambda is nothing but the wavelength. This is the relationship between frequency and wavelength. The next definition is intensity of the wave. Intensity, we are representing it by the symbol I, and it is nothing but the rate of energy transfer through an area. Because since the disturbance is traveling in the medium, or when disturbance is created, now suppose this disturbance is traveling in a medium, then this disturbance basically they carry the energy along with them. So the rate of energy transfer through an area, suppose we will place a surface along the direction or in the path of a wave, then it will transfer some energy to that surface area. The energy that is transferred to that area per unit time, per unit area, that is known as intensity. So intensity is nothing but it is the energy, it is the energy transfer transfer through an area per unit time and per unit area and per unit area. Mathematically, we can write down like this also. In mathematical representation, intensity I will be equal to energy transferred E per unit area A into per unit time T. And the unit of energy per unit time, energy per unit time, it is also known as power, because energy is equal to work done. So work done divided by time into area. Now work done divided by time, it is known as power. So power per unit area, power transmitted to a surface having area A. Then when we will define the power transfer per unit area, then it is intensity. The unit of power is watt and the unit of area is meter square. So watt per meter square, it is the unit of SI unit of power. Now we will see the equation of the wave motion. What is the equation of the wave motion now? We can see it there. Now we are going to see the equation of wave motion. So the next topic is equation of wave motion. Equation of wave motion. So let us assume a disturbance is traveling in positive x-axis. Now when this disturbance is traveling along the positive x-axis, basically this disturbance is a function of x. Means after some time there will be change in the position of the disturbance with respect to time. So now we can represent, if a disturbance is a function of x and time t, then let me first draw the axis first. Suppose this is the axis along which a disturbance is traveling. This is the this is the axis, x-axis, and we can take the y-axis also. Okay, let me attach the space also. Two-dimensional space we can represent. Sorry, two-dimensional axis we can take. Now a wave is traveling along this positive x-axis. So let us assume the disturbance which is traveling in positive x-axis is a function function of displacement x. Displacement x we can write down, that is displacement of the disturbance after time t, displacement x, and time t, and time t can be represented, can be represented as y is equal to a function of, y is a function of x, displacement x, and time t. And anytime the snapshot of this wave, I'm writing like this, you can, we can draw like this is the snapshot, you can see it there, this is the snapshot of the wave. Okay, let me draw this snapshot. This is the shape of the wave at an instant of time, and this is your origin, you can take, this is your positive x-axis. The wave is traveling along the positive x-axis with some velocity v, and with respect to this axis, position we can define, this is the position. Let me take, this is the position of the wave at an instant of time. Its position is equal to x along x-axis, and y we can take, y also we can take, this is your y, the particle, this particle, we can take y. Okay, so now we can write down y is a function of x and time t. After time t, this is the new position. Now let us assume, let a string is there, let us assume a string is there, let a string is tied at point O, let a string is tied at point O. Okay, point O, and from this string a pulse is traveling, we are generating a pulse, and a pulse, and a pulse travels along, travels along increasing x, means along positive direction of x, along increasing x. Okay, the shape I've shown you there in the diagram. According to the relation between two frames, now we are generating a new frame here, you can see it there. Suppose I'm taking a new frame. Okay, let me choose a new frame. This x-axis and y-axis you have already seen. Now let me take a new frame here. So suppose this is the new frame here. Now a new axis I'm just attaching to this figure. Now you can see it there. Now this new axis I'm taking, this is your x dash, this is your y dash, and this is your origin. Now with respect to this axis, now let me define the position. Suppose the position of this particle I'm taking, it is equal to x dash. Okay, and since wave is traveling along this positive x-axis, so after time t, what will be the distance traveled? Now suppose, let me assume this wave is stationary, and let me take this frame is moving, and it is moving with the velocity of the wave, then what will be the distance traveled in time t? The distance traveled in time t by this wave, it will be equal to v into t. Okay, and this y-axis you can see it there with respect to this axis. If I will take, then y dash, it will be equal to simply y. So now we can write down one equation according to relation between two frames. Two frames we have taken, according to the relation, according to the relation between two frames that we have chosen, between two frames. Now we can establish these two equations, two frames. First we can clearly see that from the diagram, you can see it there, x dash is basically, sorry, it is x is equal to basically x dash plus vt. and from here you can calculate the value of x dash. This is one equation, you can see it there clearly, you can see from the diagram. And y dash, because we are taking only the positive x-axis, because y is a function of x and t, so we can see that there in both the axes the value of y will remain same, that is y is equal to y dash, there will be no any change. This is the relation between two frames, equation number 2. Now consequently the wave equation that we have assumed earlier, now this equation, let me choose this equation as 2, this equation as 3, okay, and this equation is 1. So now we can say consequently the wave function in the other axis or other frame, consequently the wave function in the O frame will be the wave function in O dash frame. Let me take it this O dash frame, O dash frame will be, now y will become y dash and x will become x dash, so we can write down y equals to, and since y dash is equal to y, so y dash it will become f x dash, okay, and x dash can be written as x dash, you can see it there, x dash will be equal to x minus vt. So now we can modify this equation, so y will be equal to, replace the value of x dash, it will become x minus vt, and this is nothing but it is the equation of a wave motion. So this is nothing but now we have obtained the equation of wave motion. So this is the equation of the wave motion in positive x-axis. Now if a pulse is traveling in negative x-axis, if a pulse is traveling along negative axis or opposite to the previous one, negative x-axis, then this equation will be modified. Then y will become f into x plus vt, because from here you will get the negative value of x after time t, means wave is traveling along negative x direction. So these two are the equations of wave motion or disturbance which is traveling along positive direction and negative direction. Now we will come to the next topic now. So y as a function of x and time t we have represented a disturbance which is traveling along positive x-axis, you can see it there, and a disturbance which is traveling along negative x-axis as a function of x and time t, they can be represented like this, okay. Now we will see the equation of simple harmonic plane wave. So our next topic is equation of equation of simple harmonic plane wave. Simple harmonic plane wave. Harmonic plane wave. So we have already seen in simple harmonic motion, or if you have studied about the simple harmonic motion, I have explained about the harmonic function. What is harmonic function? So harmonic functions are nothing but they are the trigonometric functions, and the simple trigonometric function are the sine function and cosine function. So just let me take, a harmonic function is represented by a cosine function or sine function that I have already explained. Now we will see a simple harmonic plane wave, a wave which is doing the simple harmonic motion. So let me choose the axis first. This is your axis, this is your positive x-axis, we can take, and y-axis, and a wave is traveling, we can take a wave like this, a wave is traveling, okay. Just let me take, this is your wave, you can see it there. Let me define the points. Suppose this point is O, this point is B, basically this point we can take B, middle point, this point is C, and this point I'm taking D. X-axis, and this is your y-axis. Okay, x-axis. So this is the graphical representation of a harmonic function. I have already explained what is a harmonic function. So harmonic function is nothing but it is a sine function or a cosine function. A harmonic function, a harmonic function is represented by a sine function, by a sine or cosine function, or cosine function. So like this equation, suppose you are writing y is equal to a sine theta in terms of angle. In terms of time, you can write down a sine omega t, or y is equal to a cos theta or a cos omega t. This is nothing but it is a harmonic function. Now, the displacement y at t is equal to 0 is given by y is equal to a sine kx. Suppose we are writing a harmonic function, y is equal to a sine theta, or whatever we are writing, a and k are taking a constant. The displacement y at t is equal to 0. Just I'm writing this is a wave, and let me take the displacement y of the particle at an instant of time t is equal to 0. So the displacement y, now since it is a harmonic function, so the displacement y at t is equal to 0, at t is equal to 0 is given by y is equal to a sin x, sin kx I'm taking. Now x-axis and this is your y-axis, the relationship between y and x-axis, you can say it is a sine function, so simply we can write down y is equal to a sin kx, where we can assume where a and k are constants. Now after time t we will see the new position. Okay, suppose this disturbance, suppose the disturbance is means wave, the disturbance is traveling, the disturbance is traveling in positive x direction or along positive x-axis, then this equation will become, just I have explained in the wave function, then this equation, the above equation y is equal to a sin kx, x can be replaced with x minus vt, the new position after time t, then y will become y is equal to a sin k and replace the value of x. Now the distance travel after time t, it will be equal to x is equal to vt. X is the displacement, then x will become along positive x-axis. I'm just talking about the disturbance. Suppose it is traveling with constant speed v and time is t, then x will be equal to vt, or we can write down x minus vt is equal to 0 at time t is equal to 0. So x can be replaced with x minus vt. Okay, since sine function, because this is a sine function, so we can write down since sine and cosine function both, sine function, since sine function is a periodic function, since sine function is a periodic function, so it will repeat itself, so it will repeat itself, it is a periodic function or harmonic function, so it will repeat itself when this phase angle, the time period of a sine function is basically 2 pi, so we can write down when kx, because this term kx, it is representing the phase angle, when kx, the value of kx will become 2 pi. Kx will be equal to 2 pi. Or from here we can find out the value of x. After how much displacement it will repeat itself? 2 pi by k. Now this distance after which the repetition take place, it is nothing but it is known as wavelength, this displacement x. So this distance x, this distance that just we have calculated now, this distance after which repetition takes place, repetition takes place is basically known as wavelength, is called wavelength, takes place is called wavelength, and this is represented by lambda, wavelength lambda. Hence we can write down x, we can replace by lambda, hence lambda is equal to 2 pi by k, and from here we can calculate the value of this k, positive constant k, or k will be equal to 2 pi by lambda, and this k is basically known as propagation constant or wave number. This k is known as wave constant, or sorry, this is known as propagation constant. This is known as propagation constant or wave number. Propagation constant or wave number. Now if you will come from the original equation, y is equal to this equation that we have derived, suppose this equation is a, then we can write down the equation of a plane progressive wave, simple harmonic wave. Now we can write down from equation 1, y is equal to a sine of k into x minus vt. Now we can replace the value of x, so y will be equal to a sine, the value of k is equal to 2 pi by lambda, so 2 pi by lambda into x minus vt we can write down. Just take 2 pi inside this, then this equation will become y is equal to a sine 2 pi by lambda into x minus 2 pi by lambda into v into t. Now let us simplify this. Now 2 pi by lambda is equal to k, so y is equal to a sine 2 pi by lambda, we can write down k, so minus kx. Now 2 pi by lambda, 1 by lambda, and v by lambda, it is basically frequency. So 2 pi and v by lambda, it will be your frequency f. So frequency f into time, because just I derived frequency v, speed of wave is equal to lambda into frequency. Okay, so basically v by lambda, this will give you the frequency f. So I have replaced v by lambda by f. So 2 pi f into t, and 2 pi f, it is known as angular frequency omega. So y will be equal to a sine kx minus omega into t, where omega is the angular frequency and omega is equal to 2 pi f. Okay, so this is the equation of a wave which is traveling in the positive x direction. So now we have obtained the equation of a wave. This is the equation of a wave which is traveling in positive x direction. This is giving you the equation of a wave, plane progressive wave, equation of a wave traveling in positive x direction. Now just if you will replace the value of minus with plus, you will get the equation of wave which is traveling in negative x direction. This equation, this can be transferred to y is equal to a sine kx plus omega t. Okay, if the wave is, this will give you the equation of wave traveling in or traveling along in negative x direction. So now we have obtained the expression of a wave. Now we will take a very small numerical to get into idea about the wave. So let me take a question now. Question. Okay. The equation of a wave is given by a very small numerical I will take, given by y is equal to 10 centimeter into sine of kx, sorry, and let me take, it's 314 into, or 0.314, let me take 0.314 into x minus 628 into t. Okay, this is the equation. Then find number 1, a amplitude of the wave means maximum displacement, amplitude, or you can see maximum displacement, number 2, wave number or propagation constant, k, c, wavelength, lambda, d, frequency. First we can calculate the angular frequency. Let me calculate the angular frequency. Angular frequency omega, e, frequency f, and then last wave velocity. What is the velocity of wave? Wave velocity. We can easily calculate. Now just compare this equation with the standard equation of a wave. Let me solve this solution here sidewise. Solution. So we can easily solve this equation. Let me take a arrow here. Sidewise solution, it will be better to understand here. Okay, so solution, we can easily solve this. We can solve. So if you will compare this equation, y is equal to, the equation is y is equal to 10 centimeter. Okay, 10 centimeter sine of 0.314x minus 620t, sorry 628 t. Now if you will compare this with the standard equation, y is equal to a sine of kx minus omega t. If you will compare, just compare one by one, you compare, you will get all the values. Now just compare this a with this. Okay, you can see it there. This k is compared with 0.314. Omega, in place of omega you can see 628. So clearly we can find out the solution. Okay, so if you will see it there, then the first part we can easily find the amplitude or maximum displacement, it is equal to 10 centimeter. B, wave number k we can calculate. In place of k it is equal to 0.314. It will be meter inverse. Okay, k is equal to 2 pi by lambda, so 0.314. C, we can calculate the wavelength. K is equal to 2 pi by lambda, and from here we can calculate the value of lambda. Lambda will be equal to 2 pi by k. So calculate the value of lambda. 2 pi, 2 into 3.14, and the value of k is, what is the value of k now? It is equal to 0.314. Just solve it. You will get the value of wavelength, sorry, k, sorry, lambda in meter. Now next, d is angular frequency. Now just compare the equation. Omega is equal to, in place of omega, it is 628. So 628 you can write down radian per second. Next, e frequency, sorry, frequency. So frequency we can calculate, omega is equal to 2 pi f, and you can calculate frequency here. F will be equal to omega upon 2 pi, means 628 upon this 2 into 3.14. So when you will calculate, you will get 100 hertz frequency. Now f is wave velocity. So velocity is equal to wavelength into frequency. Wavelength is equal to, just we have calculated, 2 into 3.14 divided by 0.314. Frequency, just you can calculate 628 divided by 2 into 3.14. So it will be cancel out, and 100, 10 to the power 3 and 2. So it will become 2 into 10 to the power 3 meter per second when you will calculate. Now the next topic is wave velocity and particle velocity. The next topic is wave velocity and particle velocity. Okay, so wave velocity we can represent by v, and particle velocity by vp. Now in case of, the wave, basically two types of motions are there. Number one, I've just told you. Suppose the wave is vibrating, then it has got some velocity. Suppose wave is vibrating along this axis, along y axis, like this. It is moving up and down about this mean position. Okay, this is the mean position, and about this the particles are vibrating. These are the direction in which the particles of a medium are vibrating. Miss disturbance, the disturbance is created. Now suppose this velocity is vp, and suppose the wave is traveling, and due to this disturbance is produced here, and now suppose this disturbance is traveling with some velocity v. So now we are going to establish the relationship between these two, particle velocity and wave velocity. Now let me take a wave here, a simple wave. This is a wave. Okay, a transverse wave we can take, or a wave represented by a sine wave. A simple harmonic plane wave we can take. So this is your wave, you can see it there. The wave is traveling like this. You can see it there. Okay, with some velocity. This is the velocity with which the wave is moving, velocity v. And let me take a particle. Just let a particle at any point. This is your particle. Here one particle is there. Let me choose a particle. This is your particle. At this point, if you will consider, suppose this is a wave, red line represented by the red line. This is the direction in which the wave is traveling. Okay, and particle is oscillating along y-axis. So this is the direction of wave velocity. Any instant of time, suppose I am representing, it is moving in the upward direction. Wave velocity vp, it will be nothing but it will be equal to change in position along y-axis with respect to time, delta y by delta t you can take. Okay, or partial differentiation we can take, dy by dt. Because when you will see the equation of wave, the equation of wave, y is a function of x and t. Two variables are involved there. Simply we can write down like this. If you have not understood, then we can easily write down the equation like this. The equation of a wave is given by the equation of a wave is given by y is equal to a sine of kx, either plus or minus. Plus sign negative direction it is traveling, wave is traveling, minus positive direction kx plus minus omega t. This is you giving this equation is giving you the equation of a wave, where y is giving you the displacement of the particle, miss, which is vibrating or which is oscillating, and x is giving you the displacement of the wave or distance traveled by the wave. Okay, two types of motions are there. One is the particle motion, another is the motion of the disturbance. So y is equal to a sine kx plus minus omega t. Clearly you can see it there. Y is a function of x and time t, that I've explained in the beginning. So y depends upon two factors. So here we need the partial differentiation when more than one variable is involved here. So now we can easily calculate. Y is giving you the displacement of the particle, so we can calculate the particle velocity. So particle velocity we can write down with the symbol Vp, and it will be nothing but it will be equal to displacement of the particle delta y upon dt, dy by dt. And when you will differentiate this d upon dt, just differentiate a sine of kx plus minus omega t. So when you will differentiate, a is a constant, so it will be the out of differentiation, so it will be a, and the differentiation of sine is cos, so we can write down cos of kx plus minus omega t. And since the coefficient of time is omega here, so this is the rule of differentiation, omega will be multiplied, so a into omega into cos of kx plus minus omega t. Now again I am differentiating this equation. When we will differentiate the velocity, differentiation of velocity with respect to time, then you will get upon dt, replace the value of vp, it is equal to a into omega into cos of kx plus minus omega t. Now a and omega are the constant, we can take it out, a omega is out, and it will become differentiation of cos function only, cos of kx plus minus omega t. Now differentiation of cos is sine, so and this velocity basically it will become vp. If you will replace delta y by delta t, then it will become del d upon dt, and velocity is nothing but dy by dt, and we have obtained a omega, and differentiation of this plus omega t, cos is minus sine, so it will become sine of kx plus minus omega t minus sine out, and coefficient of time t here is omega, so omega will be multiplied. So when you will rearrange this equation will become dd, it will become d2y by dt square equals to minus omega into omega, it will become minus omega square into a into sine of kx plus minus omega t. Now you can clearly see this a into sine of kx minus omega t from this equation, equation 1, it is equal to y, and d2y upon dt square, it is giving you the acceleration, dt square is equal to minus omega square into y. Even if you will simplify, the equation will become like this, d2y upon dt square plus omega square y equals to 0. So this is nothing but the differential equation of a SHM. So basically the particles in a wave, they do SHM. Okay, and this is the relation. Basically particle velocity we have calculated. Now wave velocity also we can calculate. There is no any big issue here. Now the next topic is, so basically this is representing the equation of SHM. This is representing equation of SHM, and it signifies that the particles, when they are oscillating and they are producing the wave here, the particles are basically doing the SHM. So equation of SHM, differential equation of SHM. Now we will move to the next topic, wave equation. So the wave equation, thus we have explained the wave equation. So a simple wave is represented by y is equal to a sine of kx minus omega t. This is the equation of wave traveling along positive x direction. Now, when we will differentiate this y with respect to x, because y is the function of both velocity, sorry, x and t, and with respect to time we have already differentiated previously. Now we can differentiate it with respect to x. So dy by dx, it will become a, and differentiation of sine is cos, so it will become cos of kx minus omega t. Now since we are differentiating with respect to x, now look at the coefficient of x. The coefficient of x is k, so k will be multiplied. It will become k a into k, a into k cos of kx minus omega t. Now if we'll again differentiate this, then this will become d2y by dx square, and this will become a into k, and differentiation of cos is minus sign, so it will become sine of kx minus omega t with the minus sign, and one more k will be out because the coefficient of x here is now k, so k will be multiplied, so it will become minus k square into a into sine of kx minus omega t. Again you can see it there, a into sine of kx minus omega t, it is equal to y. So d2y upon dx square, it is equal to minus k square into y. Okay, again this will give you a differential equation. There is no any problem at all. Now when we have differentiated with respect to x, now it is equal to dy by dx. Now when we will differentiate with respect to time, just we have differentiated. If you will differentiate y with respect to time, then let me take this equation as equation number 1, and when we will differentiate y with respect to time, it will become dy by dt equals to a, differentiation of sine is cos, so a into cos of kx minus omega t, and the coefficient of t here is minus omega, so it will become minus omega a, minus a into omega, and this is your equation number 2. Okay, now let me just establish a relationship between these two. Okay, if we can divide or like that also, let me divide these two equation, then the common terms will be out basically. So we can write down 1 divided by 2. If you will divide 1 with 2, 1 divided by 2, then it will become like this, delta y by dx, and it will become dy by dt equals to a into k into cos of kx minus omega t divided by minus a into omega into cos of kx minus omega t. Common terms will be out. Let me see which will be cancelled out. These two terms will be cancelled out. You can easily see there. A will be cancelled out with a, and this cos of kx minus omega t, cos of kx minus omega t will be cancelled out, and from here you can write down delta y, sorry, dy by dx divided by dy by dt. It will become minus k by omega. Just bring this term towards the right. If you will bring this term towards the right, you can write down like this. Now this equation will become delta y by, sorry, dy by dx, it will become minus k by omega into dy by dt. K we know it's a wave number 2 pi by lambda, and omega is equal to 2 pi by t. So dy by dx, it will give you k is equal to angular wave number, wave number 2 pi by lambda, and omega is equal to angular frequency 2 pi by t. It will be equal to delta y by delta t. Okay, so 2 pi cancel, it will become t by lambda. You can see it there. So basically 1 by t is equal to frequency, So if you will write down, this equation will become dy by dx equals to mm, minus 1 by lambda, because 2 pi is cancel. So we can write down, it will become minus t by lambda into dy by dt. Very simple it is. Now again let me simplify this equation here. Now I'm moving from here. Then this equation will become like this: delta dy by dx. Reciprocal of time is frequency, so basically we can write down mm, minus of reciprocal of time. T is numerator, so its frequency will be in the denominator, so it will become f into lambda, and it will become dy by dt. And I've told you dy by dt, it is giving you the particle velocity, and f into lambda, frequency into wavelength, is equal to a speed of wave v. So from dy by dx, now this equation will become dy by dx equals to minus 1 by v into dy by dt. Dy by dt, it will give you vp. So particle velocity vp, it will be equal to, multiplied towards the left, it will become minus v into dy by dx. Change in y with respect to change in x, it will give you the slope. So Vp, it will be equal to minus V, that is the wave velocity. Vp is particle velocity, and dy by dx, it is giving you the slope. When the slope is negative, then negative, negative, positive. Particle velocity will be positive. When the slope is positive, or slope of the graph is positive, positive, negative, it will give you the negative, means particle velocity is negative, means it is going in the downward direction. This is an important result now. So now we can see it there, particle velocity Vp, it is equal to minus slope we can write down first, slope multiplied with wave velocity. Wave velocity, if the wave is traveling in positive x-axis, this value will be positive. So slope will determine the value of particle velocity. From the slope we can find out what will be the direction of motion of the particles or disturbance. Let me analyze this equation. Now suppose this is your axis. Let me choose the axis first. This is your axis, okay, and this is your y-axis. A wave is here. Let me choose the wave also. This is your wave. This is your wave. Let me represent a wave. This is your wave. Simple wave I'm taking. Let me choose 2 points. These are the 2 points. Okay, these 2 points. Easily you can see it there. And corresponding to this y, okay, because these two particles have got the same position y, and this position I'm taking x1, and this position I'm taking x2. Let me see at x1 and x2 what is the direction. So let me calculate the slope here. If you will calculate the slope here, just we need to draw the tangent. Tangent will give you the direction of velocity. Sorry, tangent will give you the slope here. So I'm just drawing a tangent. So when you will draw the tangent here, I'm just drawing a tangent along this line. You can see it there. This is your tangent. And slope is measured with respect to x-axis. And again, I need to draw a tangent at this point. Let me draw the tangent. This is another tangent. You can see it there. And we can find out the angle. What is the angle? You can clearly see it there. This angle here. This angle is more than 90 degree. You just see the slope here. This angle and this angle. Okay. Here you can see it. The slope is positive because it is in first quadrant. So here slope is positive. Slope is positive. Here you can see it there. Slope at this point is positive, and slope at this point is negative. Slope is equal to negative. So if slope is negative, then particle velocity Vp it will be equal to, slope is negative, so negative negative positive into wave velocity, it will become positive. Means the particles are moving up at this point, and slope is positive at point x1. So here particle velocity Vp positive and wave velocity it will be negative. So Vp will be negative, means particle is going down. So at one point here the particles are moving up, and here the particles are moving down. Again, if you will differentiate this equation, just we have obtained Vp equals to, basically Vp is equal to d2y upon dt, sorry, d2y upon dt. Just wait for a minute, for a second, sorry. So now we can, just we have established the relationship Vp is equal to minus of v into slope. Okay, so Vp is nothing but the particle velocity, it is given by dy by dt, minus v velocity of the wave, slope of the curve, dy by dx. Let me differentiate one more time. If you will differentiate, then this will become d2y by dt square. Okay, d2y by dt square, and this will become, again two times you need to differentiate. When you will differentiate two times, it will become basically 1 by v square if you will calculate, and sorry, it will be become v square with the positive sign. Okay, and this will take, you just follow the previous one step, you will get the same result, d2y upon dx square. So if you will calculate d2x upon dy square, then you can write down d2y upon dx square equals to 1 by v square into d2y by dt square. This is one of the important result. Okay, so this is all about the particle velocity, wave velocity, and we have calculated the slope also, and we have seen at which point on the wave the particles are moving up and the particles are moving down. Now we are going to see about the superposition of waves. The next topic is superposition of waves, and in this topic we will see about the uh, superposition theorem also. Now this topic is very important, because this topic we will also see in class 12th when we will study about the wave optics. So two or more waves can traverse the same space independently of one another. If two waves are traveling in a space, so two or more waves, basically two waves can traverse the same space, the same space independently, independently of one another. Thus the displacement, so when two waves, when they will occupy the same space in same time independent of each other, uh, thus we can say the displacement, thus the displacement of any particle in the medium the medium at any given time is at any given time is simply the is simply the sum of displacements that the individual waves that the individual waves would give it would give it. This process of vector addition this process of vector addition of the displacement of a particle of the displacement of a particle is called superposition is called superposition. Okay, so let me two sources of disturbance or two disturbance are created from 2 points S1 and S2. Let me take these 2 points S1 and S2. These are the 2 points S1 and S2 in space, and from these 2 points two disturbances are created, and now they are traveling in space like this. You can see it there. Okay, they are traveling in space. You can see it there. Another wave also you can take. This is traveling along this direction. Now you can see it there. They have superimposed at point P. Suppose this point I am taking this point as point P. Okay, let me take this point as point P. This point as point P. So the equation of wave which is coming from source S1, we can write down y1 is equal to a, or a1 we can take its maximum displacement is suppose a1 sine of kx minus omega t, and the second wave uh, its displacement at any time is a2 into sine of kx minus omega t, and suppose there is some phase difference between these two waves. I'm taking some phase difference delta or phi you can take. Okay, when they will superimpose at point P, then resultant displacement, okay, then resultant displacement y will be equal to y1 plus y2. If three waves are there, then y1 plus y2 plus y3. So this principle of vector addition of the displacement of individual waves, this is known as superposition of the waves, or superposition theorem, or superposition principle, superposition theorem, or superposition of waves. Okay, now we are moving to the next topic. This is your superposition of waves. Simple. When two waves are occupying the same space independently of each other, and then the displacement of any particle in the medium at any given instant of time is simply the sum of displacements that the individual waves would give it at that point. This process of vector addition is known as displacement of the particle. This process of vector addition is basically called the superposition. Now we will move to the interference. Interference is nothing but it is a superposition of two waves. So now we are moving to the interference. The new topic is interference. Interference. So when two or more waves, when two waves of the same frequency, of the same frequency and nearly equal amplitude and nearly equal amplitude superimpose each other, superimpose each other, there occurs redistribution of there occurs redistribution of energy in the medium, energy in the medium. Now this phenomenon is called interference of wave. This phenomenon is called interference interference of waves. Now, so when basically when two waves having same frequency and nearly equal amplitude and traveling, they are traveling along the same direction. When they will superimpose each other, there will be redistribution of the energy because each wave carry the energy, and when these waves will superimpose on each other, there will be redistribution of the energy at that point in the medium, and this phenomenon is nothing but it is known as interference of waves. So let me take two waves. You can take this, these are the two waves. Okay, let me take the direction first. Okay, uh, this is the origin of disturbance, here S1, and from here S2 another wave is, you know, and this disturbance is originated, source of disturbance is S1, and from the disturbance is traveling like this. You can see it there. Okay, another disturbance which is coming from S2. Let me take another color. You can see it there. Their frequency is same. They are traveling along same direction, and now they are superimposing at point P. Okay, so let me take the equation of these two waves. Let the two waves be, let basically the equation of displacement, let the two waves be y1 displacement of the particles of first wave at time t when they are superimposing at point P, a1 into sine of kx minus omega t traveling along positive x direction, and y2 is equal to a2 into sine of kx minus omega t plus delta, some angle delta I am taking. So clearly what is delta here? So this is the phase angle of first wave, and this is the phase angle of second wave. Phase angle of first wave is kx minus omega t, another have kx minus omega t plus delta. So what is the phase difference between these two waves? Delta. So delta is giving you phase difference, phase difference between two waves, between two waves. Now when they will superimpose at point P according to superposition theorem, or according to principle of superposition, according to principle of superposition, when they will superimpose on each other at point P, the redistribution of energy will take place, and the displacement of the particle at point P It will be the vector addition of the displacement that the individual waves will give. According to principle of superposition, if y is the displacement of the particles at point P, then this y will be equal to y1 plus y2 according to superposition principle, vector addition. So let me solve this equation. Y equals to y1, replace the value of y1, a1, it's the maximum value, and angle is kx minus omega t, and a2, sorry, y2, it is equal to a2 into sine of kx minus omega t plus delta. Let me solve this equation now. So if we will solve, then this equation will become y is equal to a1 into sine of kx minus omega t. Let me assume this kx minus omega t as a. Okay, this I'm taking a. You can see it there. Kx minus omega t I'm assuming as 1, a, and this term I'm taking as b. Then this is of the form sin a plus b. So now we can write down sin a plus b is equal to sin a. So we can write down a2, just replace this value sin a plus b, means sin a. Sin a is equal to kx minus omega t into cos b. In place of b, delta is there. So cos delta plus cos a, cos of kx minus omega t into sin b. This will become sine of delta. Just rearrange this equation. Then y will become y is equal to a1 sine of kx minus omega t. Now a2 will be multiplied. So we can write down a2 into sine of kx minus omega t into cos of delta, plus a2 will be multiplied. Then it will become a2 into cos of kx minus omega t into sine of delta. We can easily write down. So you can see there sine of kx minus omega t, sine of kx minus omega t is common. So we can take it out. So this will become sine of kx minus omega t out from this equation. What will remain there? Inside it will become a1 plus, what will be in the second equation? a2 into cos of delta. Just rearrange the second equation. Then this will become a2 sine of delta. Okay. And it will be multiplied with cos of kx minus omega t. Now we need to reduce this equation. So let us assume that this a1 plus a2 cos delta, let us assume this value, let us take, let a1 plus a2 cos delta, let me assume only a1 plus a2 cos delta because it is a cosine function. So I'm writing a new cos function, a into cos of phi I'm writing. Okay, a cos phi, and a2 sine delta, it is a sine function, so I'm writing with a sine delta, where a and phi are the constants. This equation I'm taking equation 1, and this equation I'm taking equation 2. If we will replace these two values in the above equation, then y will become y is equal to sine of kx minus omega t. Now a1 plus a2 cos delta I'm writing with a cos phi, so you can write down a into cos of phi, plus this a2 sin phi is equal to a sin theta, so a into sin theta into cos of kx minus omega t. A is common to both these two terms, so y will be equal to a out. It will become sine of kx minus omega t into cos of phi plus sine of phi into cos of kx minus omega t. Okay, or just you can rearrange. Again, if you will sit there, if you will assume kx minus omega t as a and phi as b, then this is sin a cos b, cos a sin b. So basically this equation can be reduced as y is equal to sin a plus b. In place of a, I am writing kx minus omega t. In place of b, it is equal to phi. So basically we have used this expression sin a plus b. Above also it is equal to sin a cos b plus cos a sine b. So this is the final expression that we have obtained. This is the final expression. You can see it there. This is the final expression that we have obtained. Now coming from equation 1 and 2, a and phi we don't know. So now we can calculate the value of a and phi now. Okay. Just squaring equation 1 and 2 and adding. So squaring equation 1 and 2 and then and adding. So squaring the equation 1, it will become a1 plus a2 cos of delta whole square, added with second equation squaring a2 sin delta whole square, left hand side, right hand side we can write down a cos phi whole square plus a sin phi whole square. If we will solve this equation, we can get the equation like this: a plus b whole square. We can simplify this expression, so it will become a square, that is a1 square, plus b square a2 cos phi square, so it will become a2 square cos square delta plus 2ab, that is 2a1 into a2 into cos of delta plus b square, that is equal to a2 square sin square delta. It will become a square cos square phi plus a square sin square phi. Okay, so when we will solve this expression, this will become a1 square plus, just take a2 square common, then a2 square common in these two terms, a2 cos square phi sin square phi, so it will become a2 square common cos square delta plus sin square delta plus 2ab, that is 2a1 a2 into cos of delta, it will be equal to a square is common, we can take, then it will become cos square phi plus sin square phi, and we know cos square theta plus sin square theta is equal to 1, so we can write down a1 square plus a2 square. Now this equation cos square delta plus sin square delta is equal to 1, so 1 into a2 square, it will become a2 square only, so 2 into a1 into a2 into cos of delta equals to a square, and cos square phi plus sin square phi is equal to 1, and from here we can calculate the value of a, so it will become in square root a1 square plus a2 square plus 2a1 a2 cos of delta. So we have found out the displacement of the wave after superposition in terms of the uh, amplitude of the individual waves, and delta for phi, delta is the phase difference. Okay, now similarly when we will divide this equation 2 with 1, look at this equation 2 and 1. Okay, so when we will divide 2 with 1, 2 divided with 1, equation 2 divided by equation 1, 2, this is one of the important expressions, so we can just keep inside the box. Okay, this is one of the important equation. Now when you will divide the equation 2 with 1, now 2 divided with equation 1, 2 equation 2 is a2 cos delta is equal to, sorry, a2 sin delta, basically it is a2 sin delta is equal to a sin phi with equation 1. Equation 1 is a1 plus a2 cos delta equals to a cos phi. A cancel out, so sin by cos it will become tan of phi. So tan of phi equals to a2 into sin of delta divided by a1 plus a2 into cos delta, and from here we can calculate the value of phi. Phase difference, now tan inverse a2 sin delta divided by a1 plus a2 cos delta. This is the final expression now. Okay, this is the final expression. So this phi that we have assumed, a sin phi, we have calculated the value of A and phi now. Now we will see what will be the intensity of the wave when the two waves superimpose. So now we can calculate the intensity also. Basically, the intensity of a wave, it is directly proportional to its amplitude. Intensity I is directly proportional to amplitude is square of the amplitude is square. So basically we can write down intensity I is equal to k, one constant we can take after removing this proportionality, and amplitude I'm writing by a square. So I is equal to k into a square. Okay, for first wave I can write down its intensity is I1, then k into its amplitude a1 square. For second wave I can write down I2 is equal to k into its amplitude a2 square, and from here we can calculate the value of a also. So a1 square, it will be equal to how much? I1 by k, or we can write down a1 will be equal to under root I1 by k. Similarly we can write down for a2 square also. A2 square, it will be equal to I2 by k, or A2 will be equal to how much? A2 will be equal to uh, I2 by k under root. Similarly, here we can calculate the value of A square. A square will be equal to I by k, or we can write down the value of A now. A will be equal to under root I by k. Now coming to this equation. Suppose this equation I'm writing equation 3, and this equation is equation 4. Okay. So now from equation 3 we can write down, since from equation 3. From equation 3 we have obtained the expression of amplitude. A is equal to under root a1 square, a1 square plus a2 square plus 2 into a1 into a2 into cos of delta. Just replace the value of a. What is the value of a we have obtained? The value of a we have obtained is equal to under root I by k. Okay, a1 square, a1 square is equal to I1 by k, a2 square, I2 by k, 2a1 into a2, a1 into a2, a1 is equal to under root I1 by k, under root I2 by k. Okay, so we can write down 2 into under root I1 by k, under root I2 by k into cos of delta whole under root it will be. Squaring both sides. If you will square both sides, the equation will look like this. The equation will become I by k equals to squaring. After squaring, the square root will be cancel out. So I1 by k plus I2 by k plus 2 under root I1 into I2 k square. Outside the root, it will be k into cos of delta. K will be cancelled out from both sides. So you will get the expression of intensity in terms of intensity of individual waves. I1 plus I2 plus 2 under root I1 into I2 into cos of delta. So this is the expression of now intensity also when two waves superimpose. So amplitude and intensity also we have calculated in case of interference. Now we will see the types of interference now. So basically there are two types of interference. Now we will see the types of interference. So interference. So basically there are two types of interference. One is known as constructive interference and other is known as destructive interference. Okay, one is known as constructive interference, other is known as destructive interference. Let me explain one by one. So the first is constructive interference. The first one is constructive interference. Constructive interference and other is known as destructive interference. Destructive interference. Okay, so in case of constructive interference, when two or more waves superimpose on each other, the resultant amplitude and intensity, or when the redistribution of the energy is taking place, when two waves are superimposing, the energy will be maximum. Energy, intensity, and amplitude will be maximum. So, in case of constructive interference, okay, one by one we can see. In constructive interference, if the resultant definition I am taking, if the resultant amplitude or intensity, when two waves superimpose is maximum, it is known as it is known as constructive interference. Constructive interference. And opposite of this is known as destructive interference. So in case of destructive interference, similarly, if the resultant amplitude or intensity when two waves superimpose is minimum, it is known as destructive interference. And let us understand the concept of constructive interference and destructive interference, okay, with the help of this graphical representation. We can see it there. We can understand the concept of this constructive interference and destructive interference. So let me draw the graph first. For constructive and destructive, x-axis and y-axis. Okay, now suppose two waves we can represent like this. First wave, let me represent with this color. This is your first wave, and we have another wave also. Okay, amplitude we can take. Amplitude of first wave is A1 and amplitude of second wave is A2. Now when they are superimposing on each other, the amplitude will become maximum. You can see it there. This is the maximum amplitude you will obtain in case of constructive interference. The amplitude will become maximum. This is the maximum amplitude you will obtain. Now this is the amplitude A. Now amplitude A will become A1 plus A2. Then such type of interference, it is known as constructive interference. Now for destructive interference, suppose now we have these two waves. Okay, this is your first wave with amplitude suppose A1. Okay, and we have another wave A2 also. They are in phase opposition. Suppose we have another wave. Suppose this is your another wave. Okay, like this. Its amplitude I am taking A2. Okay. Now when they will superimpose, their amplitude will be minimum. Like this also we can represent this amplitude resultant wave I am taking. Suppose another graph you can take, this resultant amplitude A will be equal to A1 minus A2. In this case the resultant amplitude will be minimum. Then such type of interference, it is known as destructive interference. Let me calculate the maximum amplitude and the maximum intensity in case of constructive and destructive interference. Just I have explained, in case of constructive interference you will get the maximum intensity and amplitude. So now we know the equation of amplitude. What is the equation of amplitude? A is equal to under root A1 square plus A2 square plus 2A1 A2 into cos of delta. Now this amplitude will be maximum. It is maximum, means A will be maximum only, or will be maximum when the cos will take its maximum value, because rest of the terms A1 and S2, sorry, A1 and A2 are the constants. So when the cos delta will take its maximum value, and the maximum value of cosine function and sine function, it is equal to 1, means cos delta must be equal to plus 1. This is the value. Cos of delta must be equal to plus 1. And since it is a periodic function, so cos will take its maximum value at these numbers. First it will take cos 0 is equal to 1, cos 2 pi is equal to 1. Now all the even numbers of 2 pi, you will get the maximum value. Cos delta is equal to, just let me generalize this formula, cos of 2n pi, where n is the integer starting from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3. Just take the value of n is equal to 0, this will become 0, cos 0 is equal to 1, take the value of n is equal to 1, 2 pi, cos 2 pi is equal to 1. So this is the generalized expression. So in place of delta, delta will become 2n pi. Means phase difference between two waves must be integral multiple of 2 pi, where n is the integer. N is equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, like this. Okay, and when you will take the maximum value of cos, now you will get the maximum value of amplitude. Now what will be the maximum value of A? Now A max, it will be equal to under root A1 square plus A2 square plus 2 into A1 into A2. The maximum value of cos delta is equal to 1, so it will become under root A1 square plus A2 square plus 2A1 into A2, means A1 plus A2 whole square under root A1 plus A2 whole square under root, that will be equal to A1 plus A2. And similarly we can calculate the maximum intensity also. The expression of intensity is I is equal to I1 plus I2 plus 2 under root I1 into I2 into cos of delta, and sorry, cos delta will be out of the root. Okay, cos delta. Now take the maximum value of delta. When the delta will be maximum, intensity will be maximum. I max will become I1 plus I2 plus 2 into under root I1 into I2. If you will rearrange this equation, the equation can be written as I1 can be written as under root I1 whole square, I2 can be written as under root I2 whole square. So basically this will become under root I1 plus under root I2 whole square. When you will solve this, you will get the same expression, I1 plus I2 plus 2 under root I1 plus I2. So this is the maximum intensity. Now coming to this destructive interference. So the amplitude, we know amplitude A is equal to A1 square plus A2 square plus 2 into A1 A2 into cos of delta. Now this intensity will be maximum, will be minimum because in case of destructive interference we are getting the minimum amplitude and intensity when this cos delta will take its minimum value, and the minimum value of cosine function is -1. So cos of delta it will become -1. We get the value at pi. First value is pi, then 3 pi. All the odd numbers. Odd numbers can be written in the form of 2n plus 1. So cos of 2n plus 1 pi we can write down. Again n is the integer, and you just put the value, you will get the same answer. Okay. So in place of delta, basically this must be the value 2n plus 1. This will be your odd number. Odd number of pi, you will get the value of cos as negative. So you can sit there when delta will become odd number of pi, odd integral multiple of pi, you will get the destructive interference. N will be equal to 0, 1, 2, 3 like this. Now what will be the minimum amplitude now? A minimum will become under root A1 square plus A2 square plus 2 into A1 into A2. And what is the minimum value of cos delta? -1. So this equation will reduce like this: A1 square plus A2 square plus minus minus 2A1 into A2. It will become under root A1 minus A2 whole square. Root will be cancelled out. So A minimum you will get, A minimum it will be equal to A1 minus A2. And similarly you can calculate the minimum value of intensity. Minimum value of intensity it will be equal to under root I1 minus under root I2 whole square. If you want to calculate the ratio of maximum and minimum amplitude, similarly you can calculate. So this is all about the constructive interference and destructive interference. Now one more important point is there: we can calculate the path difference also, because this is your simple harmonic motion. So two types of path we can see it there. In case of we can take the circular motion and linear motion also. So this is the relationship between path difference, phase difference and time difference between two waves. So path difference, this is one of the important topic. I'm not going to derive the formula, just I will give you the formula only. Relationship between phase difference, okay, phase difference, like between two waves we have seen delta, phase difference, okay, path difference, path difference and time difference, time difference. Let me take a wave. I will give you a technique how to uh, remember this formula. So let me take this axis, x-axis, y-axis. This is your y-axis. Now let me take a wave here. This is your wave. You can sit there. This is your wave. Now this is your complete cycle. This is known as positive cycle. This is known as negative cycle. And this positive negative together they are making a full cycle. So in one cycle basically the phase angle, total phase angle, if you are starting from 0, then the total phase angle is equal to 2 pi. In terms of time, the time taken to complete one cycle, you are starting from 0 and the total time is t. Okay, and in terms of path, the path the initial path traveled by the wave when it is starting is 0, and total path length, total distance x in one cycle, it is lambda. So this is giving you the this is giving you the phase angle, phase angle. This is giving you the path, what is the path traveled by the wave, and this is giving you the time. Okay, so suppose uh, phase difference between two waves, just wait for a minute. The phase difference between two waves, uh, it is represented by delta phi, suppose. Okay, let me take, for this phase difference between two waves, I'm just taking phase difference between two waves. Suppose I'm representing delta phi. Then what is the phase difference per unit phase angle? The per unit phase angle, it will be equal to 2 pi. Similarly, suppose I'm taking path difference. The path difference between two waves, suppose I'm representing it is equal to delta x. Okay, suppose one is ahead of other, then there will be some path difference between them. and total path length, it is equal to lambda. Okay. Similarly, we can calculate the time difference. The time difference between two waves. The time difference between two waves. Suppose I am writing delta t and total time is t. Then this equation will hold. And from here you can establish the relationship. So this is all about from the today's topic. When we will meet on tomorrow or next day, we will see the next topic in the wave, that is the standing wave, and we will take some numericals also. So that's all from the today's class. Thank you everyone.